Wait, who are you?
Just stay dry.
I never even saw his face. So why can't I stop thinking about him? Ira said those words exactly 12 hours after landing in Seoul. She was sprawled across the hotel bed, staring up at the ceiling, talking to no one. No one answered. Rain was still coming down outside, and her camera screen was still on that single profile shot, refusing to go dark. Let's rewind a little. 3 o'clock that afternoon, Incheon Airport. Ira Okonkwo came through arrivals hauling 2 suitcases and a camera bag. She was 25, a photographer who'd just started making a name for herself at a New York fashion magazine. This Seoul assignment was the first solo international shoot anyone had trusted her with. Her shoulders were set, her stride had rhythm. The braids that fell to her waist swayed in the airport's air conditioning. Kill it from day one. No excuses. But she stood at the baggage carousel for 30 minutes. Neither suitcase showed up. Both cases held part of her gear and every piece of clothing she'd packed. The airline representative bowed and explained that the bags had likely been rerouted during a connection. Minimum 2 days to track them down. Ira stood at the counter and closed her eyes for a second. One slow breath. Then she slung the camera bag over her shoulder and walked out of the airport. It's fine. I still have the camera. As long as I have the camera, I'm good. That was just who Ira was. The kind of person who always got back up a little faster than she went down. Her hotel was near Hongdae. By the time she checked in it was past 5, and the sky was already going dark. She grabbed her camera and headed into the alleyways. No luggage, no umbrella, no one she knew, just Seoul. But the moment she pressed her eye to the viewfinder at the mouth of the first alley, something clicked. This city's got something. Chipped tiles on old walls. Hand-painted signs on pojangmasha carts. The smell of the air right before rain. Her finger found the shutter on its own. And then the sky opened up. Nobody had called for rain, but there it was, a full-on downpour. The alley flooded in seconds. Ira shoved the camera into her bag and bolted for the nearest overhang. A few people were already pressed up under it. She squeezed herself into the last few inches of dry space. Water started soaking through the toe of her sneaker. Should have bought an umbrella. Should have waited for my bags. Should have never come out tonight. She cycled through 3 levels of regret while the rain only got harder. That's when someone stepped up beside her. She didn't notice at first, just another person dodging the rain, she figured. Then a black umbrella tilted slowly in her direction. No words. It just came toward her. By the time she turned her head to look, the person had already pressed the handle into her hand and was walking into the crowd. Wait. Her voice disappeared into the rain. So did he. Just a figure in a deep-brimmed cap, dissolving into the crowd. Ira looked down at the umbrella in her hand. Black. Sturdy. A full-length one. The handle was still warm. It was only then that she pulled out her camera. Pure reflex. That's what being a photographer does to you. When something rare passes through, your hands move before your brain does. When she checked the shot, the viewfinder had caught the tail end of him walking away, and one sliver of a profile as he half turned. She zoomed in again. Her finger went still. Who is that? A face half hidden under the cap. A sharp nose. A jawline damp from the rain. Familiar, somehow, and completely impossible to explain in this alley. Back in her hotel room, she opened her laptop and pulled the photo up at full resolution. Then she typed a name into the search bar. Results poured in. Articles, editorial spreads, concert footage, fan sites. She scrolled slowly. The man on stage was performing in front of tens of thousands of people. The man in the magazine spread was staring straight down the lens. The look in those eyes seemed almost impossible to match to the profile she'd caught in the alley. Kang Jae-won. Nova, Korea's #1 idol. Ira went back and forth between her camera screen and her laptop for a long moment. Then she said it out loud, barely above a whisper. I never even saw his face. So why can't I stop thinking about him? Outside, rain was still falling. The black umbrella leaned against the nightstand, handle already cool to the touch. But Ira's palm still felt like it was warm. The next morning, Ira's phone rang. Her editor back in New York. Yeah, I'm up. Getting ready for the shoot. Her editor cut her off. Ira, the schedule changed. The original photographer hurt her wrist last night and had to drop out. I need you to step in. Me? What's the shoot? Nova's official season editorial. Today, 2 p.m. Studio in Gangnam. Ira didn't say anything for a moment. Her grip tightened on the phone. Kang Jae-won. That name landed right in the middle of her chest like a dropped stone. The Gangnam studio was clean and cold. White walls, white lights, cables running across the floor in every direction. Ira was setting up her gear while the crew buzzed around her. Then the studio door opened. The Nova members walked in. Ira had her eye pressed to the viewfinder, adjusting focus, and then she stopped. That face filling the lens. The sharp nose. The full profile she'd spent the night zooming in on, now right in front of her. It's really him. Jae-won scanned the room, and for 1 second his eyes landed on hers. 1 second. Then he looked away. Not a single thing shifted in his expression. Ira wiped her lens for no reason. The shoot began. Jae-won was exactly what you'd expect, camera ready, controlled, every shot clean no matter the angle. But somewhere in the middle of it, Ira's mind kept snagging on the same thing. The guy in the alley photo and the guy in her lens right now, same person, completely different. The one in the alley was looser, quieter, more like a real human being. Are Stage Jae-won and alley Jae-won actually the same guy? Somewhere along the way, her shutter finger started slowing down. When the shoot wrapped, the crew started breaking down equipment. Ira was reviewing shots on her camera screen. Then someone stepped up beside her, same way as the night before. No warning. Just suddenly there. Do you have a minute? She looked up. Jae-won. Taller up close than she'd clocked before. She kept her face neutral and nodded slowly. I think there might be a photo from last night. In Hongdae. Ira's heart skipped a beat. He knows. He recognized me. Could you delete it? Low voice. Careful. Ira studied him for a second. Not Stage Jae-won, not Viewfinder Jae-won. Whoever was speaking right now felt different. She adjusted the strap on her camera bag and took her time before she answered. I'll delete it. But I have one condition. Spend the day showing me around Seoul. Something shifted in his eyes just slightly. He clearly hadn't seen that coming. Ira didn't look away. He looked at her for a long moment, then let out a short breath. Okay. 2 hours later, Jae-won in his cap pulled low and Ira with her braids loose were walking side by side through the Hongdae alleys. The most mismatched pair you could imagine. Jae-won had both hands stuffed in his pockets. Staying a step ahead, Ira followed behind, camera up, shooting everything she passed. Nobody was talking. He was the kind of person who didn't need words. She was the kind of person who got uncomfortable in silence. Is it normal for a guide to say this little? Where do you want to go? No idea. I've never been to Seoul. He paused, then pointed into an alleyway. Faded signage, plastic stools, a pot of something steaming. A tteokbokki cart that had seen better days. Ever waited in line for one of these? Ira looked at the cart, looked at him, and laughed, really laughed. They sat on plastic stools and ate tteokbokki. Ira's first bite nearly brought tears to her eyes. It was so spicy. She ate it anyway. Jae-won watched her, and the corner of his mouth went up barely, almost invisible, but it was there. Ira caught it. She raised her camera, pressed the shutter. Don't. Already did. He reached out and gently covered the lens with his hand. His fingers grazed the camera, then grazed the back of her hand. Half a second. Neither of them said anything. The sun went down and they drifted toward the Han River. The last of the sunset was spreading across the water. Jaewon leaned on the railing, looking out. Ira stood beside him with her camera lowered, just standing there. She already knew the best shot of the day wasn't from the studio, it was the half-second smile by that food cart. You're different right now, compared to on stage. People say that. Does it bother you? He looked at the river for a moment before he answered. No, just the one word. But Ira didn't need a camera to know there was a lot more living inside it. That night, back at the hotel, she was going through the day's shots. Studio stills, alley frames, the food cart, the river. And the one with his mouth doing that thing. She stayed on that one for a while. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. It's me. Ira looked at her phone. How'd you get this number? It was on the studio booking paperwork. Can you send me one photo? Which one? The one by the cart. I've never seen myself smile like that. She sat with it for a long moment. Then she sent it. The reply came back immediately. One line. Thank you. Ira stared at that message for a while. Then she looked out at the Seoul skyline and thought maybe this was the something she'd felt in this city. Right from the start. After that, they kept running into each other. Not planned, not arranged. Jaewon would just text when his schedule wrapped late at night. Short. Dry. I'm outside a convenience store. Can you come? Ira showed up every time with her camera. 1 a.m. Convenience store. A deserted alley in Insadong. The Han River bike path with no one else on it. They walked side by side. Didn't talk much. But the quiet never felt uncomfortable. That surprised her. Why is it so easy to just be around him? Every time they met, she photographed him. Every time, he told her not to. But he never actually stopped her. His profile against the Han River railing. His reflection in the convenience store window. The corner of his mouth catching the streetlight. Kang Jaewon was piling up inside her camera, not stage Jaewon, but the one in the cap, moving through back alleys. What are you going to do with those photos? Nothing. I'm just taking them. Photographers just take photos for no reason? I take them because I want to. Do I need a reason? He looked at her for a moment and said nothing. But the next time they passed under a streetlight, the corner of his mouth went up again. One night on the bike path, out of nowhere, he asked. Do you like Seoul? Yeah, way more than I expected. What do you like about it? She thought about it for a second. The alleys. Everyone smells different. Back in New York, everything kind of blurs together. But here it feels like something old is still actually alive. He nodded slowly, watching the water. I haven't walked through an alley since I debuted. We're always in cars. You're walking through one right now. He looked at her. She looked back at him. A gust of wind came off the river. With her, I don't have to hold my breath. Then one afternoon Ira's phone rang. Her New York editor. Ira, we've got a problem. Someone hacked your camera cloud. Unedited photos are circulating online. Check right now. Ira's hand went cold. The cloud had everything: unedited studio frames, yes. But also Jaewon in the alley. Jaewon at the convenience store. Jaewon by the river. Photos that were never supposed to be seen. She opened the search bar with shaking hands. The photos were already spreading. His profile under the cap, his back against the river railing, his smile by the food cart. Fans lost it. Is that actually Kang Jaewon? Who's the foreign girl? Isn't this an invasion of privacy? Comments were piling up by the thousands. Ira tried to pull the images down, but screenshots were already everywhere. There was nothing she could do. Then her phone rang, the agency's number. The executive's voice was flat and clipped. Ms. Okonkwo, I'm calling regarding the leaked photos. We'd like to handle this before any legal action is taken. We're asking you to delete all original files immediately. And we'd appreciate it if you kept your distance from Jaewon going forward. I didn't leak anything. My cloud was hacked. We'll be looking into that separately. Right now, our focus is protecting Jaewon's image. Ira hung up and stood there in her room for a long time. It wasn't fair and she knew it. She just didn't know where to even start. Then she heard the conference room door open. 2 hours later, Ira was sitting across from the executive and Jaewon's manager at the agency. Alone. A document on the table, a clause from her shoot contract prohibiting external distribution of unedited material. She was still reading when the conference room door opened again. Jaewon. The manager shot to his feet. Jaewon, you can't be in here right now. I'm the one who requested those photos. The room went quiet. Ira looked at him. He wasn't looking at her, he was looking straight at the executive. Voice low. Steady. I asked for access to her cloud. For review purposes. The leak is a security failure on our end. This is not her fault. Whether that was entirely true only Ira knew. That night, he texted first. The bench. By the river. Can you come? Ira hesitated for a long time. Then she picked up her camera and went. Their bench. He was already there. She sat down next to him and he spoke first. I'm sorry about today. Why did you say that in there? What you said. Because it's true. I did ask for access. That's the only reason? He looked out at the river. Wind came through. Then he turned and looked at her. The photos you took, there's a version of me in them that I didn't even know existed. Ira's hand went still on top of her camera. The river ran without a sound. His eyes were on her. Not the stage eyes, not the studio eyes, these were the bench eyes, the ones she'd only seen here. She didn't press the shutter. For the first time, she set the camera down. These two, aren't they something? Passing everything back and forth through a camera lens, saying what they mean in shutter clicks instead of words. When you really look at it, this isn't just a love story. It's two people who've been seen, really seen for the first time. And they're terrified to let that go. Isn't that exactly where love starts? The photo leak didn't die down. It got worse. The next morning, 3 entertainment outlets ran stories at the same time. The headlines weren't gentle. Kang Jaewon spotted in late-night meetup with foreign photographer? Han River date caught on camera, mystery woman is American. Ira sat in her hotel room reading all of it, and set her coffee down. Her hand was shaking a little. Her editor called from New York. Ira, what exactly is going on over there? Our magazine's name is in these stories. I'll handle it. Just give me a little time. She hung up and looked out the window. Seoul's morning was coming up like nothing had happened. The agency moved fast. Every public schedule Jaewon had was cancelled. His manager collected his phone. The executive handed him a draft statement, simple enough: we apologize to fans for any concern this privacy matter may have caused. Jaewon read it and put it back on the table. I'm not putting this out. Jaewon, do you understand what's happening right now? Your comeback is falling apart. I didn't do anything I need to apologize for. The executive sighed. Jaewon stood up and walked out. Online, the fan community had split down the middle. One side was going after Ira hard. The other side was fixating on Jaewon's expression in the leaked shots. The smile by the food cart. The way he stood at the river railing. The corner of his mouth under the streetlight. Fans were commenting, I've never seen that face before. That's the real Jaewon. Who is this photographer? How did she get that out of him? And then someone started digging through an old private account of Jaewon's. Fans are relentless like that. That afternoon in her hotel room, Ira's phone blew up with notifications. Fan community links, one after another. She opened them with shaking hands. A saved photo had been found on Jaewon's old account and was making the rounds as a screenshot. Dated 3 years ago. A New York street. A woman with braids flying, laughing into the camera. Ira knew that photo the second she saw it. She'd posted it herself. 3 years ago, in New York. Kang Jaewon saved this photo? Her hands went still. Her mind started moving fast. 3 years ago. The rainy night in Hongdae. The umbrella. She had no way to reach Jaewon. His phone was gone. Ira grabbed her coat and left the hotel. She waited in front of the agency building for an hour. When the sun was low, Jaewon came out with his manager. He stopped when he saw her. The manager's face said everything. Jaewon, right now isn't. Give me a minute. He stepped around the manager and walked toward her. Ira held up her phone, the screenshot. He looked at it and closed his eyes for a second. Jaewon, that night in Hongdae when you gave me your umbrella. You recognized me, didn't you? Wind. He opened his eyes and looked at her. Long and straight. Yeah, I have for 3 years. 5 words. But 3 years worth of something was packed inside them. Ira couldn't find anything to say. He kept going. I found it on your Instagram 3 years ago. You were on a New York street, laughing at the camera. I saved it. I didn't know why. I just couldn't delete it. 3 years. In that alley in Hongdae, standing in the rain, I knew the second I saw you. Something moved in Ira's eyes. He didn't look away. So the umbrella, the shoot was all of that. The umbrella was just you were getting soaked. The shoot, I genuinely didn't know it was you. I swear. A short laugh escaped her. The kind that happens when you're about to cry. You saved one photo of me 3 years ago and then didn't even recognize me when I showed up in person? Photos and real life are different. In real life you're. He stopped. She looked up. I'm what? Your smile is bigger. Ira laughed again. And this time Jaewon laughed too, not the silent kind, but with a little sound behind it. His manager coughed from a distance. Jaewon glanced over, then back at Ira. Things got complicated because of me. I'm sorry. You don't have anything to be sorry about. Still. She held his gaze for a moment. Then she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out her phone. Opened the camera. Can I take one? He didn't stop her this time. Just looked at her. The shutter clicked. She checked the screen. Fading afternoon light, and Kang Jaewon's face finally not turning away from the lens. That night, the fan community imploded. Someone posted Jaewon's 3-year-old saved photo next to Ira's original Instagram post, side by side. One caption: Kang Jaewon has been saving this woman's photo for 3 years. If that's not fate, what is? The comments went nuclear. The tone shifted fast. Wait, 3 years ago? He's been carrying this photo this whole time? Look at the way she shot him. No one's ever caught him like that. The executive was in meetings all night. Jaewon didn't walk through the conference room door once. Instead, he sent Ira a text. Tomorrow morning. Are you free? The next morning, Ira followed the address Jaewon had texted. A small cafe tucked into the Hongdae alleys. Too early for any other customers. He was already in the corner, cap pulled down. 2 cups of coffee on the table. She sat across from him, and he spoke first. The agency is putting out a statement this afternoon. What does it say? That the leak was a security issue, not your fault. And that my personal life is mine to handle, and they'll trust the fans to decide how they feel about it. Ira wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. It was warm. The agency agreed to that? I asked for it. She looked at him. He was looking down at his cup. Why? You could have just let the whole thing blow over quietly. I didn't want you leaving Seoul feeling like it was your fault. Ira went quiet. Through the cafe window, she could see the Hongdae alley. The same one she'd stumbled into on her first night in Seoul, in the rain. She thought about that night. No luggage, no umbrella, no one she knew in this entire city. And then a hand extending an umbrella toward her. He was there then, too. She didn't reach for her camera. She just looked at him. For a long time. The statement went up that afternoon exactly what Jaewon had described. The reaction shifted almost immediately. The fan community's side-by-side post of the 3-year-old's saved photo was racking up tens of thousands of likes. Comments poured in. He saved this for 3 whole years, that's not a bit? I never knew Jaewon could smile like that. Whoever this photographer is, she pulled something out of him nobody else ever has. Honestly, this is fate. Ira's follower count went up by 10 times overnight. Her editor called. Ira, am I laughing or crying right now? Your name just hit #1 on Korea's real-time search. Ira hung up and smiled to herself. A few days later, Jaewon's comeback schedule was back on. The agency had caved to public opinion. He texted Ira right after the announcement. Can you come to the show? I'd need a ticket. I have one. She smiled, writing back. I'll be there. She looked out the window after that. Seoul sky, clear and wide. A lost suitcase had started all of this. Nobody, not Ira, not Kang Jaewon, not a single person could have seen where it was going. The night of the comeback show. The venue was packed, tens of thousands of people, the noise already shaking the walls. Ira found her seat and took out her camera. She aimed the lens at the stage and her hand trembled slightly. She'd held a camera hundreds of times. But tonight was different. Tonight, the person on that stage wasn't a subject. You've got this, Jaewon. The lights cut out. Total darkness. Tens of thousands of light sticks moved as one. Then the stage lit up. Jaewon walked to center stage. The spotlight found him. The crowd erupted. He raised the mic and started to open his mouth for the first line and stopped. He lifted his head slowly. His gaze moved across the sea of faces. And stopped. Ira, camera in hand, watching the stage through the lens. The corner of his mouth went up. The same one from the food cart, from the bench by the river, from the alley under the streetlight. Tens of thousands of people screaming around them. Just the two of them, quiet. I should be shooting this. She didn't press the shutter. For the first time, she lowered the camera and just looked. After the show, Ira stood outside the venue for a while. The echoes were still going in her ears. Her braids moved in the night breeze. Then footsteps behind her. Were you waiting? No. I was just standing here. Same thing. Ira laughed. Jaewon laughed. They started walking the alley outside the venue, streetlights laying long shadows on the ground. Ira raised her camera. You're shooting again? Yeah. I didn't get a single shot tonight. He didn't stop her. He just stopped under the streetlight and looked at the lens. The shutter clicked. She checked the screen. Best photo she'd ever taken. No contest. Ira decided not to go back to New York. She put in a request to extend her stay. Her editor was quiet for a moment before answering. Your Seoul photos are the best-selling content we've got right now. Stay. Ira hung up and looked out at the city. Seoul shining at night. It had all started with a lost suitcase. Lost luggage, a sudden downpour, one umbrella handed over in silence, one photo saved on a phone. One accident leading to the next, and here she was at the end of it. She lifted her camera and shot the skyline through the window. The moment she pressed the shutter, it landed. Fashion editorials weren't what I came to Seoul to shoot. Outside, Seoul was still glowing. One saved photo from 3 years ago. One umbrella on a rainy night. A reunion that looked like coincidence. Neither of them knew, all the way through it, whether this was fate or just a string of accidents. But maybe that was never really the point. Someone caught your realist face in a camera frame, and you found out you could breathe normally for the first time in front of that lens. Wasn't that already enough? The way that old photo pulled two people toward the same alley, that's how it works, isn't it? The things we tuck quietly into our hearts have a way of guiding our feet without us realizing it. Jaewon said he didn't know why he saved that photo. He just couldn't bring himself to delete it. He felt it before he understood it, moved before he could explain himself. And Ira learned to put the camera down. That's sometimes the only way to truly hold onto a moment, is to see it with your own eyes, not through a lens. That some things stay with you whether you photograph them or not. Coincidence stacks up and becomes fate. Feeling stacks up and becomes love. These two prove that quietly in a Seoul alley, under a streetlight, right where it all began. This story is a work of fiction.